All right, let's see. Okay. Uh-huh. All right, let's do a little roll call. So, hello, hello. Who can hear me right now? Let's see, Maya, Temta, are you there? Okay, very good. Very good. I've also added the a live video on Facebook on the Facebook group. So I'm using Facebook Live because some people were not able to use this because of let's see, yeah, some people were not able to use Blue Button because they needed a Flash player. Let's see. Okay, so first of all, a couple of housekeeping items. So please remember to turn in the letter of introduction on Canvas. So far I have nine, I think, nine submissions. So I'll be able to give responses to those. But obviously the more we get of those, the better I'll be able to give individual feedback to improve your language. Yes, all the ones that are currently registered on the chat, I believe, have submitted their letter of introduction. So that's very good. Okay, let's see here. All right, so what's on the plan for today is English language issues and writing paragraphs. And the readings that you were advised to do for today or to prepare for today was chapter 1.1 and 3.1 to 5 and then 5.5. I've been working through the book myself. I have to say it's really, really a good book. I even find it useful to improve my academic English. So I can definitely recommend it for everyone. So the first thing we'll be starting to work on today, last time was a little bit more of a lecture, and today I'm hoping to get a little bit more of kind of teamwork or discussions, exercises, as I said, because we'll be talking about specific language issues. I will give a little lecture first, though, on paragraphs. So if you look at, we're just kind of taking it from where we ended last time. So I mentioned last time that the English language is kind of made up of different building blocks, right? So we have the individual words, those are blocks. And then when we have enough of those together, strung together in a subject-verb complement structure, so that have subject, verb, and complement, we call that a clause, which is basically the word for a sentence. Although a sentence can be longer, the basic structure of a sentence is a clause, a subject, verb, complement, or subject, verb, object structure. Ah, hello, Melik Yanyan from Batumi State Maritime Academy. Thank you for joining us. All right, so, and then a string of sentences becomes a paragraph. So to go historically about this, so before, back in old Roman days, there used to not even be any separation between the words. All the words just kind of went into each other, and there were And when they started using punctuation, dots, that was kind of a reminder for the person who was reading to take a breath, right? As the language has devolved more and more, or changed more and more from a kind of oral language to a more literate language, we've put in the punctuation marks to give to show differences of meaning that we could usually otherwise just show by the way we say something. And we've blocked words into specific sentences, and then into paragraphs, and then into entire text. So combinations of a lot of paragraphs together are now what we make up as what makes up an entire text. Now, I'll just be talking about this briefly, but I highly recommend to all of you to do what is mentioned as the homework for next week, 110 and 111. They are very, very good tools. Hello? I can hear someone. Yep. Hi, Nino. Great to have you here. Okay, that's fine. So we just mentioned that it's important that everyone uploads a letter of introduction, so that I can start giving you feedback on your language. And so far I have 9. So if you can also help the ones at your institution to remember that, would be great. Okay. So as I was saying, so the English language is built up of first individual words, and then those are strung into sentences in a subject-verb complement structure. And then we string more of those together in what we call paragraphs. And what we'd say about a paragraph, the way to decide when you end a paragraph and when you start another one, is that we say a paragraph equals one complete thought. Okay? So the idea is that when you're done with one idea and moving on to the next one, that's the time to end the paragraph and start a new paragraph. So you divide your subject into kind of your main claims, your arguments, stuff like that. And when you're going from one main claim to another main claim that you want to develop and prove, or if you're going from one part of the topic to another part of the topic, that's the time you want to move on to a new paragraph. Okay? The structure of the paragraph itself, it can be a bit different depending on what you're supposed to do and what kind of text you're writing. But in general, in English, you can divide it up into 3 main parts. So at the very beginning, or close to the very beginning, you'll usually have something is called a topic sentence. This gets a little bit messy, sorry. So a topic sentence is basically something that states the entire purpose of that paragraph, the main claim of the paragraph, in just usually one sentence. So the main claim and then the rest of the paragraph usually just adds information to or expands on that first main claim in the topic sentence. So if you're doing you're trying to summarize a text, you can usually look for topic sentences in each of the paragraphs. And if you string the topic sentences of each paragraph together, you basically get the main meaning of the entire text. Okay? And then you have the larger section, which is called then the body of the paragraph. So the body paragraph. The body of the paragraph. And then you have either you could call it a conclusion to the paragraph or a summary a statement at the end that kind of sums up or answers the main question of the paragraph. In English sentences, usually the topic sentence is at the top, but sometimes you can get other structures where you get basically an introductory question at the top. So here's the kind of the main question, and then you answer it throughout the paragraph in the body text. And then the topic sentence that kind of makes the main claim is at the end. Okay. So if you have your books available, so the Academic Writing for International Handbook for International Students by Stephen Bailey. If you go with me to part 110, organizing paragraphs, and this is on page 71. Okay, so everyone on page 71. Okay, and it says, read the following paragraph and answer the question. Spain is one of the world's leading languages. It is spoken by over 500 million people, mainly in Spain and Central and South America, as a first and second language. This is a result of the growth of the Spanish colonies in Central and South America from the 16th century. Increasingly, Spanish is also widely used in North America, where Spanish language newspapers and radio stations are common. Spanish is a Romance language which evolved from Latin, but which also contains many words from Arabic due to the historical Moorish presence in the Iberian Peninsula. Okay, so it says here, so what is the topic of this paragraph? What is the main claim that this paragraph makes? So any takers? Oh, nice. Imana Kunova, Indira, nice to have you here. So what would you say in the group here, just giving this out to the group, what would you say is the main claim? What is a sentence that kind of summarizes the main claim of this paragraph? So if it's like most English sentences, the topic sentence is usually close to the top, or used to the one of the first ones. Yeah, not you can just answer in the chat if you want to. Most people are just on the listening function. Okay. Yes, repeat the question is so on page 71 in the book. If you look at page 71 in the book, the paragraph that's written on the bottom of Unit 110, organizing paragraphs, what would you say is the topic sentence in that paragraph? The first sentence, yes, I agree, right? Spanish is one of the world's leading languages. If you look at that, that's basically what the whole rest of it is saying, and then the rest of it just develops that. Is the book available online? Good question. You should. I don't actually know. I don't. There may be some copies of the page, and I don't think you'd be able to read it here, right? So, right. Yeah. So, anyway, I'll just read up from it. So, as Nino said, the first sentence, yes, Spanish is one of the world's leading languages. That is what all the other sentences really are building up to. So, it is spoken by over 500 million people. I mean, that's just, again, elaborating the first point, right? That Spanish is one of the world's leading languages. It's kind of, that's the claim, and then It is spoken by over 500 million people. That's the proof. Mainly in Spain and Central and South America as a first or second language. This is a result of the growth of the Spanish colonies in Central and South America from the 16th century. You see how this is just, again, giving reasons for and elaborating on the first claim. The first claim made in the topic sentence. Increasingly, Spanish is also widely used in North America, where Spanish language newspapers and radio stations are common. Now, personally, as a preference, I would have said the next part here. Spanish is a Romance language which evolved from Latin, but which also contains many words from Arabic due to its historical Moorish presence in the Iberian Peninsula. Does that really have anything to do with the first claim, that Spanish is one of the world's leading languages? So for my preference, I would have said no, right? So my preference would have been to say, okay, here you're actually starting a new thought. You've moved away from talking about how widespread the usage of Spanish is to talking about its linguistic features. So for me, that would have been, I would have said, okay, if you want a perfect structure for a paragraph, then this is the time to move over from the first claim to a second claim about its linguistic features. Yeah, right? Yeah, new thought about the structure and features of language. Yeah. So the first one would be how widespread it is. So the 500 million plus. And the second one would then be a new paragraph starting to talk about linguistic features. So the idea is that the entire information in the paragraph is supposed to support the topic sentence. In a very well written text that has been thought out a lot, you'll see how the body paragraph very much just kind of mirrors or expands or explains the main claim. Obviously, there are a lot of sentences or paragraphs that aren't written perfectly, so you won't see this all the time, but this is kind of the ideal, right? That you've structured your thoughts to such a degree that you can kind of get from each main claim, the transition from each main claim is the transition between one paragraph to another one. Okay, and then when you have enough of those, or when you have kind of the structure of a lot of different paragraphs together, all make up then the whole text. And then the text becomes easy to read, clearly segmented, and also for business language or for academic journals, if someone says, okay, well, I already agree with this main claim, I'm not very interested in seeing the development of it, they can just jump onto the next claim or the next paragraph without having missed a whole lot, because again, if they got the topic sentence, then they got the main meaning of that paragraph, and then if they want to see that expanded, they can just kind of read that paragraph. But if they don't want to expand on that point, they can just go on to the next one. Oh, here's the one I want to read a bit more thoroughly. KU, we can, Jazzgur, is that you? I think we got them. Yep. Okay. We got the camera and the and a muted microphone. Okay. So that was a little bit about paragraphs. Like I said, I can highly recommend this one, this chapter in the book. And there are exercises there that are also brilliant, that show kind of how to develop a paragraph and how to set it together, how to put it together. Okay, now I think actually I would like to get to the point where I do a little roll call, because now we've been able to gather more of the participants of the course. So let's see. You can just write this down in the comments, or if you want to unmute your microphone, you're free to do that too. So let's start with Georgia. From Batumi Maritime Academy, who do we have here? So we have Karina Melikanian, right? Let's see, anyone else from to Batumi Maritime Academy present? Tiona, Natalia, Salom, Alina, Tamar, Natalia, or Stella? Okay, looks like that's it. Okay, Batumi Shota Rustaveli State University. That's okay, don't worry. Batumi Shota Rustaveli State University. Anyone from that institution present? Let's see. Okay, don't think so. All right, Akaki Tsereteli State University. Yeah, Nino. Anyone else listening in or anyone else there with you? Yeah, Tamta, I see, yeah. I can see Tamta. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I see she's on the separate one. Maya Dekonitsa, she's also here. Yeah, good. Great. And Diana may be listening over Facebook Live. I also broadcast this on Facebook Live on the page. Okay. KU, Kyrgyz Economic University. Let's see. Okay. Manas, is he present? Great. So Sami Kitsi Begayman Aizan Bakirova, right? Very good. Very good. Okay, and Bishkek Academy of Finance and Economics. Let's see, Elena, Nelly, Marina, Turat, Elmira. Anyone there? Okay, and Isikul, Indira. You're here, right? Anyone else here with you? Altenbeck, Yana, Umut, or Elvira? Okay, so it looks like we only have Indira on, right? Is that correct? Elvira's on Facebook. Okay, very good, very good. Great. And Tamta, yeah. Good. Okay, great. Like I said, I'm hoping that we can get a larger group going after a while, but I'm glad that also some people are following on Facebook, so that's very good. Okay, let's move on to some language issues. So, see here. So I'm going to first just teach a little bit about it, and then we're going to do a group exercise here together. So I'm going to open it up so people can, everyone else can participate also in drawing here. So you get a chance to help to write the answers. But we're not going to do that right now. First, I'm going to give a couple of hints. Okay, so in English we talk about the articles. We talk about definite articles, and that's basically the. Okay, that's the definite article, and we use that when we refer to one specific. I'm just going to take away your cursors for a little moment. So something specific usually. whereas we use the indefinite article whenever we refer to something that is basically any, that the noun is referring to any member of a group, okay? So that's the a or an. So when I say a bike, or I've got a bike, so I have one of any kind of different sorts of bike. But if I say I've got the bike, then I'm talking about one specific bike that I've been wanting for my whole life, and I've got that one specific bike now, for example. Okay? So in this group exercise here, we'll only be using a or an for this one. And the difference there is really a or an is really a linguistic feature of language. If you look at this word, in writing, there's no difficulty telling the difference between the two because you got the spacing. But when I'm talking, so the oral feature of language, so when I'm talking, apple, can you tell where the one starts and the other one begins? No, right? So that's why in English, whenever you have a vowel sound, and the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. Oh, sorry, U. Whenever you have a vowel sound, you need to write an in front of it if you're using an indefinite article. So an apple, an elephant, okay, an intelligent being, an operator, an underdog, okay. But here's the tricky part. It's only when you have actually the vowel sound that you use an, okay. So use an apple, a bike. But sometimes you write a vowel, but you still have a consonant sound. Okay, so for example, a user, okay, a user of Canvas. You have a user, not an user, because this is not the oo sound, right? Underdog. It's not the same sound as underdog. This is y, user. It's the y sound, right? So user. So, and the same it goes with when you have silent consonants. So it is an honor because the H is silent. So you listen, so it's, as you say, an, it's as if you don't have the H there. Honor, right? So an honor. In the same way you say, I'll see you in an hour, because it sounds like just hour, right? So, and by the way, if you have another word in the middle between a and the word that it's describing, it's because this is a oral feature of language, you just have to worry about what comes right after the a, okay? So you say an honorable discharge, not a discharge, but an honorable discharge. You have to do the an because it's the honor, right? So the honor sound. So this is so sometimes when you're writing, sometimes just try to say it out loud. Okay, is this a vowel sound or is it a consonant sound? All right, so with that being said, now I'm going to open it up so that all of you can start putting a or an in front of these ones here, and basically just pick one that you want to do, and we're going to fill up this pretty quickly together, okay? So everyone, now you have your cursors, and now you can write a or an in front of each of these. And to do that, you need to first go on the pencil function. up in the right-hand side. Okay, yeah, very good. A bingo game, that is correct. An idiot, yes. Okay, we got them all covered. Okay, I'm going to take back the power of drawing. Okay, so look at these ones. So a bingo game, exactly. A b, right? A b. There's no vowel sound there. So a bingo game, that is correct. An idiot, again, correct. I is very clearly a vowel sound. An idiot. A good job, yes. A g, very clearly a consonant sound. A rotten plum, r, very clearly also a consonant sound. A used fork, very good. This was tricky because again, it's not an oozed fork, but used fork, and that's clearly the y sound. That's a consonant sound and should have a in front of it. An uncle, yes, right? Uncle is very clearly the vowel sound. You can usually tell what's a vowel sound by whether or not you can sing it. Whereas you can't sing that one. It's a one that brings out it needs sound to be and a break. Yeah, used fork. You can't sing it. A historian, yes, because the H here is not silent, right? It's not an honorable historian, but a historian. The you can't sing it. An apple, yes. A hair. This is very close because the H is almost silent, but it's not. It's not quite silent. An artichoke. Yes. This one. Horrible. If it was an horrible, which is how French people say it, then you would have an. But since is actually sounded here, so you actually hear the you do not have an there. It should be a horrible movie. An opera, yes, but a fine opera, right? You can't sing that. A television, that is correct. A earthquake. Okay. Here this is a vowel sound. So it would be an earthquake. Oh, I think they actually tried to do an N there, right? Is this an N? I'm not quite sure. I'm going to do it like this. Outside of it, and just set that as correct. An icicle, right? You can sing that. It's a vowel sound. An icicle. A plant. An eggplant. Right? Eggplant. An honorable, because the H is silent. Very good. This one here went kind of over two. I'm just going to put it on the side here. So an intelligent, right? Again, you don't look at the man. You don't look at that. You look at what comes precisely like right after the indefinite article. An intelligent man. So I'm just going to say that is correct if we follow this one. But a table. Yeah. So I have a kind of a pen here that I can use for when I'm writing. So I'm cheating a little bit. That's why I can write a little bit better than you can with the mouse sometimes. An up stairway. Yes. Very good. Okay. You ready for another one? Okay. Let's see. Okay. Go. Should invest in one of these for everyone, huh? Bud pad. Okay. All right. Ready to go through? Okay. See, so yes, a paper clip. That is correct. A paper clip. An animal. That is correct. Unusual feeling. So right? You see that? The usual there, not usual, but usual, but usual. So that's how you pronounce that in English. So a usual feeling would be the correct. An interest, yes. Interest. An alibi. Alibi. Yep. An early bird, yes. But a couch, that's correct. An airplane, yes, that is correct. And a grade, a g. Great voice, thank you. I did sing in a choir. uh, a pair, yeah, that is correct. A pair. An idea. An energy level, yes. An E, an E. Very clearly vowel sounds. Very good. Very good. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the definite articles. So the definite article is the. Okay, and this is more difficult. So definite and indefinite articles in general are very difficult for Russian languages, Slavic languages, and it actually in all the world it's actually primarily um, the European languages that are specifically in the Germanic language branch that have definite articles or use them in the way that are used here. And English in specific, English is also a bit special when it comes to that. So an interesting thing about articles is that the ones who have learned English by listening to television and to music, they usually just have a sense for if they should use the or an, because it's such an oral feature of language. Whereas people that have learned it, kind of the grammar of it, it's kind of hard because the rules are not very consistent. So you have to learn a lot of rules, and then even those rules sometimes have exceptions. So here's one that has a, an, or the, and I'm going to write up some of the rules for how to use the definite article. The difference between writing, say that I have a bike or the bike, is basically saying that this is any one of that group, right? So I just have a bike, any kind of bike. I have something that belongs any kind within that group. It doesn't specify, it doesn't point to one specific one. Whereas I have the bike, that's specific. Okay. In addition to that, there are some other rules of thumb when it comes to the. So you use the with superlatives. So I write the fastest because it's one specific one, right? They can't be all the different fastest ones. But even then I talk about the fastest because we're talking about one specific group, right? Or one specific car, the fastest car in the world, right? The most important statistic. Then I use the. And two, when I'm talking about specific time periods, so for example, during the 1990s, right? And when we talk about also about unique things that there aren't more of, so the government of Kyrgyzstan, for example, we don't have two governments of Kyrgyzstan, I think, right? So it's the government, we talk about the world, so the world. And when we talk about regular publications, so the New York Times, the New Sciences magazine, etc. So regular publications. We also use the when we talk about regions and rivers. Okay. Ordinal numerals. So the New York Times, regions, rivers. So we talk about the South, or we talk about the Elbe, the Volga, etc. When we talk about the Danube rivers. Also the Baltic Sea, the Atlantic, except of names of lakes. Exactly, yes. Right. So all kinds of water except names of lakes. Although sometimes if you have a gathering of different lakes, you talk about the Great Lakes in the US, for example, that it's Lake Erie, Lake Superior, and so on. Then you say the Great Lakes as a gathering of more lakes together. You also have, if they're kind of celebrities or very well-known people or things. So the Spanish artist, Pablo Picasso. And some institutions or bodies. So the United Nations. Okay, and you have also, if we're talking about specific positions, so in the middle, at the top of this, at the top, in the middle of this slide, in the middle of in the middle of this page, you will see, right? And of course also currencies. So the euro. The euro. So if we talk about currencies, the dollar. Again, that's when we're talking about that specific currency, but not kind of a specific amount of that currency. So we could say a few dollars, but we talk about the dollar or the euro. We do not use it to talk about things that in general. Again, these are things in specific. So bad harvests, poverty, etc. We don't use it generally in names of countries. So we talk about Georgia, not the Georgia. But we talk about the Kyrgyz Republic because there are many republics, and then we talk about the specific Kyrgyz one. We talk about the Soviet Union because there are many unions, but we talk about the Soviet one. We talk about the United States because there are many states, but we talk about the united ones. And the United Kingdom because there are many kingdoms, but we talk about the united ones. So, but we don't say the Italy, we don't say the Estonia, etc. And yeah, and then usually companies or things, right? We talk about Apple, not the Apple, as when we talk about Apple as the company, right? The ones that make the iPhone. So we talk about Apple, not the Apple. We talk about Walmart, not the Walmart, and so on, and brands and other names in general. We don't say the in front of. I'm not the David. What about titles like rector or dean? So uh, I am I'm an assistant professor. So it means I belong in a group of assistant professors. I'm an assistant professor. But if you have something that there's only one of, so I am the Radford chair. That's kind of an endowed chair. So the Radford chair professor. Then if there's only one of this person, then it's the, right? So if there's only one dean, so I'm the dean of the College of Humanities at Kyrgyz Economic University. I am the, right? then you'd say the, so the rector, the dean of this college, because there's only one of you, right? But I'm a dean at this university because there may be more deans at the different colleges. So it really depends on whether you're talking about one of many or a specific one that there's only one of, right? So there are many. So there are many. There are many people. There are many assistant professors at my university, but I am the only one in business English. So I am the assistant professor of business English at University College of Southeast Norway. Does that make sense? So it really depends if you're talking about something that's a general or a specific that there's only one of, for example. Okay, so now I'm going to open up this here too to everyone. And so either you have a, an, or the, or blank if no article is needed. So there are sometimes you don't need an article. So as I said, bad harvests, names of countries generally, except the UK, the Kyrgyz Republic, and abstract nouns, poverty, love, and companies and things that have specific names, like streets. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, I'll take back the power. Someone's phone is ringing. Yes, I want an apple from that basket. I don't care which apple, I just want an apple from that basket, and that the basket you'd think that there would be more in the basket, right? So yes, an apple. It's not specific, I just want an apple. I don't care that I don't want the apple, the specific apple. The church on the corner, right? It's talking about one specific church here, not just any kind of, a church on the corner is progressive. That would be kind of strange if there's a lot of churches on the same corner. So the church on the corner is progressive, right? That would be that specific one. Miss Lin speaks Chinese, exactly. If it's be the Chinese, then we're talking about the people, not the language. So the same with English, Italian. You don't say the English, the Italian. You can say the Italian language, but you don't say the Italian, unless you're talking about the people, the Italians. So Miss Lin speaks Chinese. Very good. I borrowed a pencil from your pile of pencils and pens. Again, right? Not the pencil. It's very clear that there's a pile of pencils and pens, and I just borrowed one from them because it's not talking about one specific one. One of the students said, "The professor is late today." Okay. The students wouldn't say, "A professor is late today." Somewhere at this university, I feel in my spider sense that there is one professor that is late for class. Right? So the professor is late today, the one that's going to teach them, obviously. So it's talking about one specific one. Eli likes to play volleyball. Yes, volleyball, the sport, right? He likes to play soccer, likes to play volleyball. It has a specific name, not the volleyball, not a volleyball, because we're not talking about the one specific ball. We're talking about a sport, so it's an abstract noun. I bought an umbrella to go out in the rain. Yeah. Unless it was like, I've been looking for that umbrella forever and now I found the umbrella, right? So in most cases, this will be just an umbrella. We don't care about the specific one. I just got one. My daughter is learning to play the violin at her school. Yeah. The violin, the piano, the guitar. Yeah, that's right. Please give me the cake that is on the counter, right? It could be theoretically possible to write here a cake that is on the counter if there are a lot of cakes, but in most situations you don't have more than one cake on the counter. So please give me the cake that is on the counter. It's even specifying, not just, otherwise you just say, please give me a cake, but the cake that is on the counter. Again, when you have like specific directions usually, and it's not clear that it's one of many, then usually you're talking about one specific one. One big birthday cake, exactly. I lived on, so the main street. So the clue here is Main Street is written with a capital M and a capital S. So that means it's a specific street. So when we're talking about specific names, then we would not use the. If I lived on the main street in town, right? If there was not capital M and not capital S, then it wouldn't be a specific street. It's just like the main street in town. Then I'd say the main street in town. But since we're talking about a name here, Pennsylvania Avenue, Main Street, then we wouldn't use any articles at all. Albany is the capital of New York State. Same thing there. New York State, right? It's its specific name. We don't use articles. My husband's family speaks Polish, right? Same as Chinese. No, the Polish, just Polish. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Yes, correct. Not the apple a day, right? Doesn't have to be one specific apple. The ink in my pen is red, right? That specific ink in that specific pen, right? Not an ink in my pen. That sounds weird because we're talking about one specific one. So it's specified. Our neighbors have a cat and a dog. Yes. Not the cat and the dog. In that case, if we say our neighbors have the cat and the dog, it sounds like our neighbors have abducted our dogs, right? Our pets. Our neighbors have the cat and the dog. They've taken it. They've taken them. Okay, very good. Yeah, so just make sure about these things here. So I lived on Main Street, not the Main Street, if it's talking about a specific street with a specific street name. Okay? Any questions about those? Okay, very good. So like I said, obviously you have to practice these a lot. In general, one of the best ways to kind of learn them is just by osmosis, just getting a lot of English text and a lot of English songs, and then because it's an oral feature, it wasn't invented for written language. It was just something that was in oral language to distinguish between things, and then it kind of got transmitted into written language. There I'm talking obviously about the indefinite article, ANN. Okay, very good. Let's see. I have another one here. So another curiosity of the English language is, as I mentioned briefly last time, whenever you write a sentence, you need to make sure that the subject, verb, and the complement together, or the subject, verb, and the object, you need to make sure that the subject and the verb agree when it comes to singular or plural. Because in English, you say the normal form is, for example, I walk. Oh, sorry. Walk. Just gonna type that out. Try again. I walk. So there's the verb stem of to walk. I walk. And you walk. Okay. But he, she, or it walks. And then we walk, you walk, and they walk. Okay? So the subject here, especially in he, she, or it, whenever you're talking about the first person singular, or the third person singular, it gets a special ending. And so I can't say he walk, that's an error, right? So he walks, she walks, it walks. So a couple of things to remember is that, so imagine that you're using one of these to describe this first one. So Annie and her brothers. If it was just Annie, then I'd say Annie is at school. But because it's Annie and her brothers, which one of those would we refer to as Annie and her brothers? Can we say we, you, or they? They, exactly, yes. Annie and her brothers. So they, that means I am, you are, he, she, it is. We are, you are, they are. Annie and her brothers are at school. Right? Annie and her brothers are at school. So whenever you have and, it always, between two nouns that are both part of the subject, then becomes they, and conjugates in the same way as they. Okay? Or if it's Annie and I, then it would be we. So they or we. or you, if it's you and Annie. You two. I, we, they, or you. The plural one. A couple of things that make it a little bit more complicated. Of course, it has to be a little bit more complicated, right? It couldn't be as easy as that. Are that we sometimes have, so if we talk about this person and this person, then obviously we get they instead of he or she. So if we have neither this person nor this person, or either this person or this person, whenever we have that, we have to look at what was the second one. So what is the verb, what is the noun that comes after or nor? And then the way that is conjugated, or if that is singular or plural, that determines if we conjugate the verb in a singular or a plural way. Okay? So neither the photographer nor the paparazzis were there. Okay? But neither the paparazzis nor the photographer was there. So you only look at what comes after the nor or. Another thing that is a little bit difficult is that you sometimes have group nouns. So we have, for example, the team, right? That's a group of more people. It can either be plural or singular, depending on if they act as one or if they act individually. So you'd say the team travels together, or the team travel by bus and train, because then it's very clear that they're doing individual things. They're not acting as one. Does that make sense? So you have to look at some group nouns like the committee, the team, etc., where they will that functions either as you have to look at if they function as a team, if they do something together, or if they do things individually as separate groups, separate individuals within that group. Okay, let's give it a shot. So I'm going to open up again for everyone and underline the one that is the correct form. Okay, I think we're about done. Okay, is that your final answer? Okay, good. So let's go through this. So Annie and her brothers, they, right? They are at school. That is correct. Either my mother or my father, okay, is, exactly. They're not doing this, both of them. It's either one or the other. And you only have to look at what comes after or. So my father is coming to the meeting. The dog or the cats are outside. Exactly. Everything after, just what's after or is all you have to look at. So the dog or the cats are outside. The cats are outside is essentially all you have to look at. Either my shoes or your coat is always on the floor. That is correct. Sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? But that's the way it is. George and Tamara, they, right, do not want to see that movie. Exactly. They do not want to see that movie. Benito doesn't. He, right? He does not know the answer. One of my sisters, she, right, is what we could say instead of that. She is going on a trip to France. The man with all the birds, okay, it sounds like the birds live, right? But it's the man that is the subject here, not the birds. It's very important to look at what is the subject. So the man lives on my street. So not there. The man lives on my street, whereas the birds live, but we're not talking about the birds here, we're talking about the man. The movie, including all the previews, takes, exactly. Previews, all this is just added information. It's the movie that is the subject. Keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on what is the subject. The movie is the subject. Takes about 2 hours to watch. The players, as well as the captain, again, the players here is the subject. The players want to win. So this is the correct one. Either answer is acceptable, right? Either that one or that one. Either one of them is acceptable. So when either or every, you talk about them individually. Either one of those. Same with that every. Every one of those books is. This is applicable to every single one of them. You don't count them as a group because the same applies to every single one of them. So each or every always takes singular. Nobody knows. Again, right? No single body, no single body. Everybody, nobody, someone, everyone always takes singular. That's right. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Is the news on at 5? Yes. There are some nouns. The news is uncountable. So you can never say newses. Same with information, not informations. Advice is always also singular. That is some good advice. Note those are some good advice. Is the news on at 5 or 6? Mathematics is John's favorite subject, while civics is Andrea's favorite subject, because it sounds like plural, but it's a subject we're talking about here, right? So it's singular. Civics is Andrea's favorite subject. Mathematics is. $8. Yes, is the price. This is kind of an interesting one because we're talking about eight of something, but it is the price. So when we're talking about a specific price, then it's individual, no matter how much we count the numbers. Are the tweezers? Yes, are the tweezers. It's a single object, but it consists of two things that go together. So the tweezers is always plural. We don't have a tweeze, but for some reason tweezers, it means that we're talking about two things. Same with pants. Your pants are. One pant is kind of one of the legs, so your pants together, two, are at the cleaners. There were 15 candies in that bag. Now there is only one left. Candies, 15 candies, they were in that bag. The committee debates these questions carefully. The whole committee does this, so it acts as one, exactly. Whereas the committee lead very different lives in private. Here we're talking about them individually, so that would be plural. The Prime Minister, together with his wife, greets, because we're talking about the Prime Minister still, his wife is just added information. Comma in front, comma behind makes it clear that this is just being added to the subject is the Prime Minister greets the press cordially. The Prime Minister and his wife would have been different. Then they act as one, or then they are a compound noun, and then it would be greet. But because it's the Prime Minister, it's greets. That's the subject alone. It's greets. Okay, very good. How about this one? Are, exactly. Because we're not talking about the scratched one, that's just adding information. We're talking about all of the CDs. That's clearly they are in this case. Very good. All right, it seems like you're pretty good at subject-verb agreement. Articles are more difficult. Okay. So a couple of things. So that's wraps up the main part of the lecture today. Just a couple of things I want you to pay attention to for next time. So as I mentioned before, obviously most of the people here have, but if you haven't yet turned in the letter of introduction, please do so. You do that by going on to Canvas, Assignments, and Letter of Introduction. As I stated last time, if I don't have enough of text, then it's kind of hard for me to get a good grasp of where your English is at and what level you're at and how I can help you both the most. So try to write at least 2 pages of text for that with, if we say, with double line spacing. So a little bit less if you use 1.5 line spacing. So if you haven't done that yet, please do so. I'll try to get those back to you as soon as possible. Also, once we're done with, if you look at the syllabus, so this, so until next time, we'll be done basically with chapter 3. So 3.6, 3.6, and 3.8 until 3.8. So we'll be done with chapter 3. I recommend you all to then do the progress check after chapter 3, where you can kind of test yourself on all of the main parts of chapter 3. And then, as I said, 110 and 111 really is excellent. 110 is on organizing paragraphs, and 111 is on introductions and conclusions. And even very seasoned writers often haven't kind of fully mastered this. So even if you're very good, you should be able to learn something from that. And then there are 4.5 to 4.7, and I'll be publishing 3 more videos that kind of repeat some of the things I've been talking about today, and with subject-verb agreement, paragraph structure, and tenses. And then as soon as I give you the letter back, let's see, Tamta asked, while correcting mistakes, -1 point for each mistake. I'm not keeping any score, if that's what you mean. Are you talking about the language test next time? Oh, okay. I'm not quite sure what you mean about the different mistakes and if you get points. Oh, when you assess the paper. Oh, I'm not going to give you points on the paper. I'm just going to give you feedback. So I'm going to show perhaps where there were some language mistakes, and then I'll give you recommendations for how you can improve those. So how you can improve so you don't make those same errors. And then I'd like you to return the revised letter to me by March 16th. So I'll be returning the letters to you now as soon as possible, and then I'll be also giving you some comments and say, okay, look at this and see if you can improve, for example, these things that I pointed out about subject-verb agreement, or these things that I pointed out about articles, and then write kind of a a revised letter that has improved those features that I mentioned. Okay. Let's see, and yeah. Okay. Good. Good. All right. Well, I hope this was helpful to you, and that you had some fun doing it. All right. Thank you very much. I'll see you again in 2 weeks, and good luck. Good luck until then. For those of you who are more seasoned academics or seasoned in the English language, it may be better, or the more important part, or the better part for you guys may be looking at the when you look at the when we start getting to the argumentation part and the publishing part. But thank you for keeping up even now. It's important that we're all on the same page and that we can take everyone through the different steps to build up to stronger language skills. All right. Bye. 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 To all the people that are following on Facebook Live, thank you for following too. We're done with this session now. Please feel free to write to me if you have any questions. All right. Okay, good.